Look at that. Look at that. You talking about knockouts? All right? You trying to knock somebody out? That's what this is. This the knockout, the knuckle sandwich, baby. I'm gonna give you the knuckle sandwich when I bite into this. Woo!
Yeah! Like that?
Yeah! Thank you.
It makes all the difference when you take that time to make that stuff from scratch.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of America's Best Restaurants. Now, here's the thing. I like to consider myself the certified sandwich man here at ABR. That's why I'm really excited to be here at Knuckle Sandwiches in Mesa, Arizona. Now, if you got a name called Knuckle Sandwiches, I'm expecting your sandwiches to be a pure knockout. So let's go inside, have some fun, and of course, get to the eating. Okay, so right now, hanging out back here in the kitchen with my guy Roscoe, the owner of Knuckle Sandwiches. Oh, why I oughta. And he's about to make me something that looks really delectable.
This is the namesake. This is our knuckle sandwich, and it's made with a pot roast. Whole shoulder cloths in, and we roast them, braise them in the oven like regular pot roast, and Worcestershire sauce, and umami, and beef broth, and season them up real good, and then we shred them out, and we make a sandwich out of pot roast. It's a pot roast sandwich.
Like, what made you come up with a pot roast sandwich, man?
There's something, always, I like pot roast. I love pot roast. And this is something that's always been in my mind, like, why has nobody ever made a pot roast sandwich? So I made one.
First off, you are 100% correct. Why has nobody made a pot roast sandwich? Anytime I have like pot roast, especially like after I've eaten the initial pot roast, I always come back and end up slapping on a bread or slapping on some roll or something like that.
I mean, that's what a lot of our menu is. It's kind of like comfort food. It's kind of like, I guess you say kind of inspired by like that day after Thanksgiving sandwich.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And listen, we all know, day after Thanksgiving.
Yep. Best sandwich day on earth.
Absolutely. Why did you give this sandwich the name?
Because it's something different, something unique, and I feel like, once people have it, it just kind of knocks you out.
Give you that old Mike Tyson. All right, cool, man. So I'm ready to get started.
First thing we get is sourdough bread, and we throw some provolone cheese on the top and bottom of it, and then we throw some grilled onions on it, and we send them up through our oven. Get some of that braised pot roast I was telling you about.
Look at that. Stop playing with me, Roscoe. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to let that bread hit that conveyor belt, get to the other side, then we're gonna build that sandwich and be right back. All right, so now that beautiful sourdough with the provolone cheese and the grilled onions about to come off this conveyor belt. So, all right, what we doing right now, man?
All righty, we're going to pull that out. It's all nice and melted. So we're gonna take all this, and this a whole 8 ounces of pot roast. We just gonna pile it on here.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
And then, what really set it off, we make our own creamy horseradish. It's almost like a prime rib. Throw that on there.
Boom.
There you go. So simple, but it works together so great.
That is a work of art. Take a look at that. You got 2 separate layers of the provolone cheese. Roscoe and I were talking off camera about how provolone cheese is like the premier cheese for a sandwich, especially when you're pairing it with beef. And then, of course, these beautiful sourdough bread, nice, crispy. Oh man, Roscoe, I'm about to tear this up. Give it a nice little smash. Look at that. Look at that. Talking about knockouts? This Floyd Mayweather, baby. We talking about knockouts, all right? You trying to knock somebody out? That's what this is. This the knockout, the knuckle sandwich, baby. I'm gonna give you the knuckle sandwich when I bite into this. Woo!
Yeah! Like that?
Yeah! Thank you.
It makes all the difference when you take that time to make that stuff from scratch.
That is a knuckle sandwich. That almost knocked me out. I hope this doesn't offend you, man, but I love you.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you so much, bro.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna take this into a little special dark corner in Knuckle Sandwiches, and then you and I, we're gonna sit down and talk about your illustrious career. All right, guys, so now I finished smashing my knuckle sandwich, and I gotta tell you, absolute heaven. That was a good sandwich, man.
Awesome. Glad you liked it.
Yeah, man. So we back here with Roscoe again. We got a couple more sandwiches sitting in front of me. I'm gonna get to these in a minute because I need my stomach to get a couple seconds of breathing time before I start going ham on another sandwich. Speaking of ham, we got a Cuban right here, So Roscoe, man, you're not somebody that just decided to open up a restaurant, because you just had an idea idea one day. Like, this is something you've been doing for decades.
Yeah, I've been in restaurants for almost 30 years now. And, you know, I have a culinary degree. I got a bachelor's degree, got them at the same time. And, you know, just throughout my life, I did a whole lot of different things in fast food, full service, institutional.
Wow.
I've opened restaurants from 4 bare walls for other people. And I like to think that, you know, during that time, I didn't know that I was being prepared for this. But all of it was just practice. I got to practice with other people's money and make it work. And for this,
that's what experience is, you know, and I think a lot of times, particularly when you're younger, you don't understand the value of experience. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, because, you know, you're from the Windy City.
Yep, born and raised.
Chi-Town original. You know what I'm saying?
South side all day.
The Bears out this
The Bears. The Bears.
So what brought you from Chi-Town all the way down here to Mesa, Arizona?
What brought me out here, I had a friend, I lived in Missouri for 11 years. And I had a friend when I lived in Missouri that owned this location, and it was a part of a chain sandwich shop. So him and his partner, they weren't getting along, whatever, and he was looking to sell it. So he called me up, said, hey, come check it out. You know, if you like it, great. If you don't, we'll just hang out for the weekend. So came out here, decided I liked it, ended up buying it from him. So that's what brought me to Arizona.
You ended up working as a franchisee for this big box restaurant. Now, obviously, we're not going to get into the details specifically about them, but you know, you ended up leaving because you were like, I'm not really a fan of how y'all doing things
Exactly. Here. I felt handcuffed because I do have a lot of culinary background. I felt like they could do things a lot differently. And I felt like they were losing the pulse of the public. They weren't really keeping people engaged. They were kind of just relying on their customer base that they had already built to kind of keep them afloat. Relying on that name. Plus, I didn't feel like as franchisees, they had our best interest in heart. So finished out my time because I had to finish up his franchise agreement. And then when they asked, are you gonna renew? And I was like, nope, I'm gonna do my own thing. I think I got a better idea.
I love that. One of the things, we were talking a little earlier today, and you know, when you started doing your own thing, you paid very special attention to the meat that you are preparing because you recognize, and you told me a story, you can choose to tell it or not, but like you recognize like some people are a little finicky about the meats that they get, and that was one of the reasons that they didn't come to when you were here at the big box.
Absolutely. So I had a vendor that I used to buy paper items from, and she lived right across the street. I asked her, I said, you know, and she told me how she liked sandwiches. I asked her, I said, how come you never come here to eat? And she told me, I only eat boar's head or above. I'm a snob when it comes to deli meat. And that resonated with me because I'm a pizza snob. I come from Chicago. I'm a huge pizza snob. So I don't eat everybody's pizza. And I don't eat like those fast pizza. No, I don't do none of that. No. At that moment, I decided, you know what? We're gonna make all this stuff from scratch. We're gonna take all these meats. We're not using any processed deli meat. We're not, you know, getting any chicken or turkey breast brought in or anything like that. We're cooking whole turkeys. We're cooking, making our own roast beef. We're making pastrami and corned beef from scratch. And it's funny how as you go through life, there's things that you pick up on that you don't even know that's preparing you for a later time. So my first job, I lied about my age and I worked for this Greek family. So I was 14, I lied about my age, said I was 16. and I learned how to make pastrami and corned beef from scratch. Who knew that at 40 years old, I'd be using that knowledge?
That goes back to that wisdom and experience.
So I wrote every recipe, you know, showed my staff how to prepare corned beef from scratch, how to make pastrami, you know, the meat on that Cuban, the pork on it. It's not just regular pork. We marinate that pork for 3 days in Mojo Creole, and then we roast it and then slice it. Yeah, and we make so it's kind of a mix between a Cuban and a medianoche, which is another type of Cuban.
So I just want to let y'all know something, okay? I'm gonna keep it G with y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you something Roscoe told me when I first came through this door here. Roscoe looked me dead in my face and said, "It's the best Cuban sandwich you gonna get on the West Coast." He said, this gonna rival the Cubans you get in Florida. That's one of the first things Roscoe said when I walked through this door.
That's one you're gonna get on the West Coast, absolutely.
I don't wanna talk about it no more. let's be about it.
Let's be about
Let's be about it, Roscoe.
All right.
I'm gonna give this a try right here.
Okay.
All right, so
And be 100 with me. Tell me what you think.
I'm gonna keep it all the way G with you, my friend, but this looks like a thing of beauty right here. I mean, that is well stacked, first of all. You know, there's plenty of meat going on right there. Then I see that the pickle and the mustard going on down here. And you said there's two different types of pork in here, right?
Yeah, so there's sliced pit ham on the top, as well as a roasted pork butt.
Ooh,
Yep.
okay, and then what's the sauce that I see up here on the top?
So that is the sauce we created. We created a quote unquote mojo sauce. It's kind of inspired by mojo sauce. So we take citrus juice and we cook it down until it's like a syrup. And then we mix it with, and then we put cumin and garlic and a few other spices in it, and we mix it with mayonnaise. So it kind of creates like an aioli, but it marries everything together.
Oh man.
And then we put dill pickles and bread and butter pickles on it instead of just dill.
Yo, seriously though, Roscoe, that goes hard in the paint right there, bro.
Appreciate it.
First off, the ham that I'm tasting, it for some reason reminds me almost of like the spiral Christmas ham. Like that's the thoughts that are conjuring up for me. I just got a big blast of that mojo flavor. From the pork, got that oil mixed with that mustard. Jeez.
So you got tangy, you got sweet, you got the spices underneath, you got the saltiness from the ham, and just it all marries together. That mojo sauce just brings it all together.
Roscoe, you almost had me use the Lord name in vain out here. All right, so now we're gonna move over to this one since we already tried meats. What is this looking at?
All right, so this is something that's near and dear to my heart. So growing up in Chicago, we got this sandwich. It's called a gym shoe. And it's this sandwich right here, but I put a little bit embellishment.
A what?
A gym shoe.
A what?
A gym shoe.
A gym shoe.
Some other parts of the country call them tennis shoes, but in Chicago we call them gym shoes. Anyway,
pretty interesting. So I had to get clarification for myself and the people at home.
Yep. Tennis shoes, gym shoes, same thing. So this sandwich is called a gym shoe. So it is pastrami and corned beef with Swiss cheese, deli mustard, dill pickles, and we put coleslaw on top of it. And it goes on Jewish rye, so the seeded rye. None of that marbled rye stuff, real rye bread. Anybody that's watching this from Chicago, all I have to do is mention this one place, AP Deli, and they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Roscoe, what am I supposed to do with you, man? What am I gonna do with you, man?
Just come eat. Just come eat.
Roscoe, man.
You need a good meal, just come holler at me.
Listen, I am a sandwich man, dude. And I can tell you straight up, every bite that I've had here today has been an absolute knockout.
Appreciate that.
Listen, this is Knuckle Sandwiches. There couldn't be a more fitting name for a restaurant. Everything has been a knockout. You see all this meat? Look at all that meat. Look at all that meat. When you're finished eating it, what are you gonna be? Knocked out.
You're gonna be asleep.
This is really great sandwiches. I'm a sandwich guy, and Knuckle Sandwiches, Mike Tyson.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell me, what's the future of Knuckle Sandwiches?
You know, maybe we'll put up a few of these in some other places. But for right now, I think my next step from here, I'm gonna get a food truck and I'm gonna move that around the valley here a little bit and then branch out from there.
Roscoe, thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right, guys, so I think my sandwich craving has absolutely been quenched. I gotta tell you, man, that Cuban was delightful. I love that delicious, delicious knuckle sandwich. And then on top of that, the American, that went hard in the paint. Everything I had here was great. And I love talking to Roscoe, hearing his story about how he came from Chicago all the way down here to Mesa to start such an awesome business. But unfortunately, that means it's time for us to keep it pushing. So with that said, I'm Theo Williams for America's Best Restaurants. Hope to see you.